Afternoon, everyone. Hope you're all well. Sahil, Paul, Kat, Rohan, how you doing? Hope you all had a good weekend. Shirin, how are you? Good to see you. Nice new member of RTFX, Shirin. Thank you for that. Yeah, hope everybody's well. Had a good weekend. I had a very quiet weekend. Don't think I did much, actually. Spent most of it on the couch and finally back in the gym. So I've got a goal. I don't know if any of you saw my Instagram. Right now I'm on... So they've just opened basically a new gym in Sustainable. Quite a really nice gym, actually. It's really nice. So they're giving a free trial and all that kind of stuff. So I did one of these body scanner things, and it didn't really make for great viewing, to be honest with you. So you stand like this, and it basically gives you like a cardboard cutout of your whole body with all your measurements and all that kind of stuff. So I was 24% body fat, which it's not really great for me, to be honest. So I've set a goal myself. By Christmas Day, I want to be under 20% body fat, and then I'll put it all on again over Christmas and New Year with a whole bunch of beer. But yeah, so my muscles are sore today. Pingucks, how are you? Ash, how you doing, mate? Hope you're all well. Okay, well, the only bad thing about my weekend was this Ethereum trade, unfortunately. It is quite frustrating seeing what it's doing now, but I moved my stop here prior to the weekend and just got caught in this gap. Not only caught in this gap, because you gap down lower, you obviously get less profit than on what your stop loss is. So I only got $1,000 out of that particular trade when I should have really got 2,000. And yeah, just something that's happened. It's not happened recently in the past. And typically when I start my FTMO, these things happen, right? So yeah, down $1,000 on that, and I lost an AJ scalp on Friday, but that was only for 500. I'll make that back over the course of the next month or so while I'm doing my FTMO. But yeah, a little bit frustrating with Ethereum. Certainly seeing how nicely it's moved from there. Very similar to the UK 100 trade. If I took the UK 100 last week, I believe, and got caught out here at break even, and then, you know, moving quite nicely to the upside. So I don't know. I keep saying unlucky. I don't want to say unlucky because this is trading. It's so easy to be an analyst, right? I can say, well, we're going with trend. This is going to go up. That stuff is so easy. Being a trader and getting the right trades is a completely different ball game. So yeah, I mean, shit happens, right? You're not going to win them all. Things like this happen. We've got to accept it and move on. I'm not going to let it, you know, drain at me and stuff like that, and, you know, move on to the next one. So markets today after Friday, decent numbers out of NFP. I'm not going to go massively into that. You guys know that I'm not a big fundamental guy. If you want a fundamental side of it, then there's plenty of people on YouTube that are better at that than me. I just go with what I see on the chart, and what I see is the market continuing to push on. You know, we could be in for a potential slight corrective here. The yen has been relatively strong, but I would consider that more pullback strength rather than change of trend strength. So I think with how the market is, just continue to look at opportunities to sell into any yen strength. You are getting a possible bearish indicator here on a little bit of volume. Not, I mean, it's not a major hammer that I'll be massively worried about, but maybe it could cause a slight pullback considering where we've come from. You know, we have to realize we have been on a very good uptrend. Now, again, I don't really want to call a top in this, but maybe this indicates potential it comes back down, but it seems to be very bullish at the moment. London's opened up quite bullish. I'm not going to pick a top in that, and I'm going to continue to go risk on. Now, we did have a bit of volatility here on NFP, which you probably expect, but it seems to be flattening out, bottoming out, and pushing back to the upside. So until we see any significant changes in this SPX, you know, we use that risk sentiment to continue with that risk on nature. And I know the yen's been strong. But as I said, I think it's pullback strength. And anytime, you know, you see entries into that yen, into that Swiss, makes sense for me buying against those commodity currencies. And now that we've digested those moves from early October, could be some decent entries. KKYL, yo, how you doing, buddy? Syed, hello everyone, first time joined the stream. Oh, good man. Thanks to everybody who liked it, by the way. Liked it before I even got on. That's very kind of you. Appreciate that. Okay, the dollar. The dollar. The dollar here is interesting. My bias for the dollar is still to the upside, okay? Considering this larger context that we've got on this daily chart, considering this bar, considering the fact that we've got a nice little consolidation prior to a decent bullish move, I believe, on Thursday. But we have got this, again, very similar to the SPX, but this is certainly a little bit more, I'm not going to say worrisome, but a little bit more valid than that SPX bar. You know, slight fake out to the upside, and now we're potentially moving to the downside. I think my bias is continuation on that trend, but maybe we get a little bit of weakness coming into the dollar, maybe early part of this week, possibly. And if that does happen, I wouldn't mind that, because there's a potential setup in the DXY if it does do that with your cup with handle or head and shoulders or whatever it is, going with that trend. So, I mean, this could, and it seems to be, causing a little bit of bearish movement. Now, that won't change my bias unless we get some significant bearish bars moving to the downside. I think, and what I would like to see, is that little reload before continuation in that DXY to the upside. That still has to be your bias, but this could certainly take, you know, this bar could certainly take, if we break underneath this area here, this kind of anchor, short-term anchor to the uptrend, then maybe we'd be a little bit concerned. If we don't, and if we do have that little reload, you know, buying opportunities in that dollar, roughly around maybe this 20 period, would make sense to me, going with that trend. And yeah, I think bias is probably, maybe you get a complex corrective considering this bar. I mean, it is a bearish bar. You know, maybe we're getting our harder, not a very nice ABC, not a very nice complex reset before continuation to the upside. Kind of similar to what we had here. We had a fake out to the upside and movement down. Fake out to the upside, potential movement down. And where it goes to, we'll just have to wait and see. You can see here on the 4-hour chart, you know, with this price action, I talked about this on Friday, when you're buying into pullbacks, this is not a pullback you want to buy into. However, and this is why that you get, I think, maybe retail buying into this pullback that, you know, really hasn't got a lot of momentum, which is why you see that complex and a real kind of bullish pressure potentially roughly around that area before continuation to the upside. So I do expect some bearishness. I do expect that, but we have to remember the trend is still up. We could get a reaction, I guess, roughly around here for that squeeze into the area. But yeah, I would say that's my bias is continuation dollar for maybe the end of the week. Until then, possible some slight weakness coming into that DXY. And I actually wouldn't mind that. I liked it before you joined. I appreciate it, mate. Appreciate that. So how's everybody's trading been? How's everybody's trading last week been? Have you been making money? John, how you doing, mate? Good to see you. We've been trading this morning. Remember, it is a Monday. Mondays aren't usually the best for trading. Normally quiet, normally not many fundamental drivers. I used to have a rule when I was in my kind of not learning phase, but getting into a bit more consistent phase of one trade Mondays, because I'd always used to be excited for the markets to open on a Monday. You know, you've got the weekend waiting for that market to open, and then you go a little bit crazy on a Monday and start losing trades. So I used to have this one trade Monday rule that I don't have anymore because I'm kind of selective with my trades anyway. But it just kind of helped me because I knew that, okay, I've only lost one trade on a Monday. You can get that back during the rest of the week. Whereas if you lose 2 or 3, you're kind of fighting that uphill battle on a Monday for the rest of the week to capture those losses you made on a Monday when you shouldn't really have been in the market too much because conditions aren't great. So, yeah, maybe there. Last week was fantastic. Oh, great. Took your ETH and closed it a bit early in profit. GJ short given. Yeah, GJ short was a good trade. I tried to get in on that, you know. I had that on my list. GJ short all the way, must have been all the way back here. Where is it? Maybe on this 1 hour chart. Somewhere up here I had it basically. Yeah, this is where I basically had it. So yeah, if you got into that, nice nice movement on GJ for sure. This looks not great for a pullback entry at all. You know, I wouldn't be saying go and buy the GJ just yet. Not at all. Certainly looks bearish. Pound is weak. Pound is weak. Bit more cautious after last week, yeah. Sitting on your hands on a Monday, the hardest, yeah, exactly. It is because you wait 2 days, right? You wait 2 days, you're excited for that Monday to open. You're thinking, yeah, I'm going to go make a trade. And then you go telling yourself, oh, God, it is a Monday. I got to wait till Tuesday, really. So, yeah. Anyway, I'll go into my watch list. So Bitcoin was on my watch list. I think it's got to go now. This looked nice on the daily. As we talked about that digestion from this move, we got that as the week went on. Kind of seeing your pattern there, and look at the reaction we got, a B wave. It's approaching all-time highs. My personal watch list, I was having this as a breakout retest, but I think this has probably gone too far. So we'd have to wait for a reset up, maybe roughly around these highs for a bigger pattern, but at the moment for a breakout retest, I think that's probably gone. But one I do like is Litecoin. This is really clean. This is nice. I like these cryptos here, yeah. I like these altcoins here. We've got our larger basing structure, our smaller basing structure. All I'm looking for now, because I'm not taking a break from deep like this, is that 20-period catch-up. So whether that comes in the form of accumulation, whether that comes in the form of a smaller reload for a breakout to the upside on Litecoin, I certainly like that. I like what the daily is. Daily looks great. There's an argument there for a breakout on the daily, not for me. We're just above these moving averages. We're close by to them. We're not extended. And, you know, apart from this area here, you know, if we get past that, there's a lot of room to move. You know, there's a lot of room to move for these altcoins. And I just have a feeling this altcoin season is coming. I do have a feeling this altcoin season is coming. So I'd like to be placed into some of these coins, certainly the Ethereum's, Litecoins, Ripple, Dash, before that happens. But I've got to get the right setup to do that. And this is certainly really nice. But I'm just waiting for this. That's all I'm waiting for is a 20-period catch-up to take that breakout to the upside. On Litecoin, one's for today, EURUCAD. EURUCAD looks quite good. It is a counter-trend trade. But what I like about it is we've got our confluence here with this daily, our confluence for a counter trend. You know, any moves to the downside are being bought into. And not only that, in our daily chart, we're above that 20, but we're also getting some rejection here on these dailies, so these double bullish hammers. So for me, this is an indication that potentially we could get a deeper pullback in this EURUCAD before potentially movement to the downside. If you look at this 4 hour, so you look at that, like every movement, slight fake out here, not ready to go. Every movement to the downside is being bought into. So for me, although we've got this 200 here, it could be not bad for a counter trend trade. Now that we've broken the level, gotten our larger V reversal, a nice corrective, digesting this impulse to the upside, and broken through this level, broken and closed. So I'm waiting for a retest of this area for movement to the upside on EURUSD. And again, I kind of like that. We have got some room before this resistance, before 1-to-1. And obviously we've got room for this 200. But with this counter trend trade, if we get onto a decent area where we could end up pulling back properly from this impulse, you know, you're looking at that 40-60 box, which is, you know, here, which means you could get a decent movement. And then at this point, you don't know what's going to happen. It could continue, change in trend, or continue to the downside. So we've not even reached that 23.6. And we had that fake out, which I like, where we're getting bullish pressure or buying into those sellers. I kind of like that. I kind of like that. Good breakthrough as well. Breakthrough on volume on London Open. Good bullish bar, good digestion. That is one I'll certainly be watching for today. EURUSD. Another one I do like is USD Hong Kong dollar. But I feel that this may have gone as well, but we'll have to wait and see. The confluence is there. I do like breaks of wicks. So we can see here, we've got, can you see that properly? We've got 1, 2, 3 wicks, right? And relatively bearish signs here on the daily. And now we've broken through that liquidity zone, that wick area, for what looks to be a decent bullish bar. So we could be looking quite good on USD Hong Kong dollar. Good bullish bar, good, you know, certainly going with the trend here. On the 4-hour chart, we've got that volatility contraction, sorry. Within that, a little head and shoulders, some good bullish pressure, broken through these highs. Again, this is really nice. The setups here on the 1 hour or 30-minute, cup with handle, pretty clean. Few bars here before the break. Looking for a retest to continue to the upside on USD Hong Kong dollar. Now, if you don't know, USD Hong Kong dollar has an inverse relationship with the DXY. So normally if the DXY comes down, the US Hong Kong dollar moves up, which is why we're seeing some weakness in that DXY and this currency pair moving to the upside. So if we get what we want within that couple of days of a little bit of weakness in the dollar, this could be a nice breakout retest on the smaller time frames. But it needs to come back and retest. I ain't going to take this now. It needs to give me something nice around that 20 to move to the upside. So that's not bad. Thoughts on Swiss yen? I'll go into Swiss yen. Yeah, let me know in the chat if you want me to look at anything. I'll go through them after my watch list. I've only got 2 more on it. John liked, good man. Let's try to get 20 likes. I'm always trying to go get 20 likes on my stream from now. It's a long cry from my 3 likes when I first started, so I appreciate that. Silver is doing well. I did talk about on Friday this aggressive entry into silver, which seems to be playing out quite, yeah, 25 would be great, John. It seems to be playing out quite well. Now the premise of this, I know some of you guys know this, but the premise of this is the easiest way to say is to, can't speak, through Aussie yen. So this is the premise of the strategy I'm testing on the early aggressive entry into breakout trades, because I didn't get involved in Aussie yen. I had it on my watch list for quite some time, but again, I needed the retest or a little bit more here. So I didn't get involved in this really nice move to the upside. But your aggressive entries get you into potential breaks and movements like this if we are not in the actual breakout. So this is what I talked about with silver here on this daily. I know it can just be described as a pullback entry, but it's kind of a little bit more added to that, because the area where we're pulling back to, or the area which we've tagged, is that downtrend anchor. It's that change of trend anchor, quota. Okay, so we're getting a nice pullback from this impulse. We've got volume coming in on that day, and obviously a bullish sign, a bullish hammer. And if we don't get in on this, let's say it does this, which is what I wanted to do for breakout to the upside, you'll be in it on that aggressive entry. So silver is now looking good. I need that 200 to come down a little bit more for a breakout to the upside. But yeah, I kind of like that as well. I kind of like that. Gold. Okay, I'll do gold. True slow, man. You're doing a great. Appreciate that, mate. Thank you. And finally, NZD CAD. NZD CAD is not the nicest pair to trade. I'll be completely honest with you. But I did have it on my list last week. I was just a bit worried about a possible kind of rising wedge here on the daily. Now, we did get a movement to the downside that was bought into, but the daily now is starting to look a lot nicer. You can see this bullish price action. We're above the 200. 20 is starting curling up. We've digested this move a lot better now, and we're getting some bullish movement. As I said, this is above the 61.8 from this move to the downside. So in terms of trend continuation, you've got to be thinking change of trend rather than trend continuation, because we breached this line in the sand, which is the 61.8. So there's no context yet. There is potential if we get, consider this our head and shoulders here, then there's the context there. I don't want to take this as a break because NZD CAD does like a fake out. The CAD in general does like a fake out. But if we get from here, I'm not really bothered about what's happening here in price action, but this is where I see my context from. Basing structure, tag that area, give us another reload back to that 20 for a potential breakout to the upside. And that has confluence with the daily. So I like this. You know, I like this now. Didn't like it as much last week, but I certainly like it now, although NZD CAD is notoriously difficult to trade. CAD in general for me is notoriously difficult to trade. So just need that right shoulder to go to the upside. Kazim, hey Ryan, do you also use aggressive stop loss in your aggressive entries? Yeah. So the premise of it, and remember, this is not confirmed. This is hello, test, 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 test. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Okay. Good, thank you. Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I'll just start again there with my aggressive strategy. So it's easy to look at Aussie yen here as a kind of pinpoint entry for what happened in execution, for what happened in that chart. But I need to figure out if it actually works. So what my idea is, if we talk about silver now, for example, it's good to talk about silver because we don't know what's going to happen in the future. So the idea for me is you buy and sell the candle. So your buy would be here and your stop loss would be underneath that candle. So yes, it would be an aggressive entry. And in terms of TP, I've not figured out, or I've not really decided what I want to do yet, because you can't really do, normally I would take a TP at 1-to-1, okay? But with the aggressive entry, you can't really do that because the aggressive entry, the premise of it is that it breaks the level, right? So that's what we're looking for. So whether you take maybe a portion on the level break, in which case that would be maybe around 2-to-1 in this circumstance, or you just be aggressive in general and you look for as much profit as you can, which maybe you'd include an SAR for that. I mean, I really like the parabolic SAR as an indicator to take profits. So possibly, if this does continue, and again, you get the SAR underneath price action, for example, in Aussie yen, if we put the SAR in Aussie yen, this may not be a great example, but let's see what happens. So if we put the SAR here, indicators, trend, SAR, you can see how, so you would technically have to sell out here, okay, but we don't want to do that because it's not broken the area. So maybe this is where it all comes in, right? Maybe the trade management is, if it breaks the level, then we use the SAR. If it doesn't break the level, do we let it hit the stop loss? I mean, it's kind of up in the air on what we do. I need to test it and figure out what is the best and most profitable trade management strategy, because in some respects, trade management is the most important thing. That's where the emotions come in. So, you know, you need to have that trade management plan down. So I don't really want to just say I'm going to buy and sell this candle and not know what I'm doing after that. I need to know what I'm doing. I always like the idea of trailing the swings. That's a kind of strategy that I love doing because it allows you to get into big moves like this. So maybe take 2 orders and take some profits off. Maybe we try and go for the full whack as an aggressive strategy. But I don't know yet. I need to figure it out. One more like for 25. Yeah, one more like for 25, guys, if that would be great. So yeah, it's something I'll develop, and I'll develop it when I'm doing it on stream. We can see how this works out, and find out what the best trade management system for this particular trade was. Maybe it's multiple take profits, maybe it's SAR, all that kind of stuff, and we just figure out as we go along. 34 people. Thank you, guys. Okay, so I'll go into Swiss yen. Who asked me about Swiss yen? Oh, sorry. $50 competition, $50 competition. My apologies, guys. We'll do it in EURUSD. So the $50 Monday competition is in EURUSD this week. Get your answers into chat. If you are watching it on catch up, comment down below today. So what I'm kind of personal thinking is, even though we had a slight fake out to the downside, I'm thinking possibly this in EURUSD. So if we're taking days, today's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm going to say, if we're getting that cut with handle, I'm going to say 1.158. That'll be my guess for EURUSD. 1.158. Again, this is just a little bit of fun. To see what it is. But yeah, get your EURUSD entries in for Friday for another $50 competition. Who was my mentor? My mentor was a guy called Mark Bennell. Ran Masu, yeah, you know his mentor. So was it you, Ran, who sent me the message on Discord saying you're a lot like Mark Bennell? So yeah, Mark Bennell was my personal mentor. He works for a company called ForexSignals.com. So he needs, I think he needs about 2 years experience before he mentors somebody. And he's very expensive, but he needs about 2 years experience. So yeah, that's who I was mentored by. A guy, he's had like 30 something years experience in trading the markets. He used to be an engineer. So he's very candlestick based. He's not very fundamental based. He kind of resonated with me. And that's who my mentor was. So when I do my mentoring, I'm basing it off how I was mentored from him, because, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So yeah, that's who I was mentored by. He's an unbelievable trader, and unbelievably wealthy as well. Got a gym in his house, boats and everything. But yeah, he changed my trading around. Changed my trading around for the better. Euro's making a comeback. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that just yet, Sahil. I wouldn't say that just yet. If you're talking against the EURUSD, I would consider this a fake out to the downside. It looks to be a decent fake out to the downside, and maybe it just comes back, take some stops out before continuation to the downside, or maybe just in respect just does this before breaking through. Your bias has got to be at the moment to sell the EURUSD. It has to be. I mean, it has to be. But this is a bullish sign. That's why I selected this chart, because that's not a bad bullish sign, and you're seeing obviously the exact opposite in the DXY. Which is why my bias, if my DXY bias is continuation longs, end of the week, then that would possibly be my bias for EURUSD. Anyway, that's just my personal guess. Okay, sorry, Swiss yen. I'll go into Swiss yen. I think someone asked me about gold. I can't remember what else you guys asked me, so let me know in the chat. Swiss yen 1 hour. Was it Swiss yen 1 hour? Sahil, right? You asked me. Swiss yen, sorry, I'm just getting it. Thoughts on Swiss yen 1 hour. Thoughts on Swiss yen 1 hour. I don't really have I don't. Yeah, I mean, that looked okay. If you're in it from there, that would make sense. Coming out of this, you might get a reaction around here, but bias on the smaller time frames is to the downside. But bias on the daily, is it to the upside? It might not be anymore, considering the price action we've got. You know, that's not very nice, considering this. Maybe you're getting into a potential loss of momentum here, you know? Maybe. For a harder reset, continuation to the upside. But that price action isn't nice. So if I had to give my bias, it would be selling it rather than buying it, which supports this smaller time frame price action, because we're breaking out of that corrective. You know, very simple price action, breaking out of it. Again, you might get a reaction where we are now, roughly around the lows, or maybe around this liquidity zone. Would I be selling it right now? No. I think you'd have to sell it probably here, or locking in profits. Maybe you get a slight reaction in that 20 catch up again for continuation. But yeah, I mean, it looks good for downside movement. I just wouldn't be personally be selling it now. I wouldn't be personally be selling it now. Gold. Gold. Let's have a look at gold. Gold actually looks a bit better. Gold looks a little bit better now. And a guy in one of the members, Fonny, I don't know if Fonny's here. Sorry, she. Sorry, Fonny, I always thought you were a man, but then I saw your picture. She asked me a question about gold on why it was rising on NFP on Friday. And my kind of answer was, if we look at this price action here, this looked pretty nice. I know it was breaking out of this, you could call this a descending trend line. Let me get my pen. Excuse me, here we go. Breaking out here. But if we look at that's actually quite nice. And you got this daily bar here, closing above that 200. 20 period is now curling up. So in terms of fundamentals, as you know, I don't really give a shit about fundamentals. Whatever happens will happen. But from a technical aspect, it started to look nice for upward movement. Certainly on this, I mean, this is where your analysis changed, this particular bar, which is again why I don't like doing these outlooks, because everything changes within a day. And gold, then you've got to shift your momentum to, or shift your bias from downside to upside on this particular bar. And we got a movement there. So I think gold gets up here. You would expect gold to get up there. I mean, it might not get up there, but I would expect it to get up there, considering price is like a magnet to these areas. So yeah, I think gold gets up here, maybe a slight reaction, in which case it could be a trade on this daily, but that will obviously take some time to develop. But yeah, I think gold looks good for bullish movement. We'll have a look at the 4 hour. The 4 hour does potentially have a little bit of extension on the way, or it's a little bit extended. So maybe you're retesting this area, but maybe you get that 20 period catch up now, considering where we've come from. But gold can move, right? Gold can move. So yeah, maybe that with gold. 20 period catch up, but I mean, you could even need a bit more than that, considering where we've come from on Friday. The market just needs to digest it a little bit potentially. So yeah, I think with gold we hang around this area. If you get some price acceptance above it, that would be a good sign for continuation to that resistance zone. But albeit you could either get a pullback, you could get a deeper pullback in here, in which case you look for entries around there. But you've got to be looking for buying opportunities right now rather than selling opportunities, considering how that daily looks. So again, with your pullbacks, as I kind of talked a little about on Friday, if you're looking to get into them, look for a reason to enter. You know, look for a reason to enter. Gold does like a deeper pullback, normally around that 61.8. If you see volume in a hammer bar or whatever, simple candlestick patterns coming in around here, then yeah. Or if you see the same thing, if we get price acceptance above this area, and you see the same thing and then a reason to enter, then that would be a good entry with gold. But I just think if you're buying it right now, you might be caught in a rangy environment or a pullback environment. So if you're buying it now, you've got to have a decent stop, because it could pull back because of that extension on that 20. So my bias, yes, for gold has to be to the upside unless it changes, but I wouldn't be buying it right now. I'd be waiting for it to settle down a little bit, I think. EU, okay, I'll get all your EUs in. 32. Oh, legends, thank you very much. I think that's probably the most likes I've had on a live stream. Okay, I'll do NZD Swiss for Elmi, and then I'll be off. Also, guys, if you don't know, what we have decided to do now with RTFX is not only do we give away the 50K, which, by the way, because we are a new platform, I'm still waiting for about 3 months for proper entries to give this 50K away. I'm wanting to give it away. But obviously, we've had a couple of entries this month. We had a few entries this month. But not also that, for the newer traders, we're also giving away $200 a month now to a member that kind of shows good initiative, that is trying to learn, part of the live streams, putting up their ideas, and just kind of a nice part of the community, or a nice individual member of the community. We're now giving away $200 a month for that person. So if you're interested in that, the Discord link's in the chat, and the links are down below. 7 days free and all that jazz. Okay, sales pitch is done. Back to the charts. New Zealand Swiss. Yeah, New Zealand Swiss looks good, Elmi. Looks good. Looks good here. Breaking out of there. It's approaching this downtrend anchor here, so you may get a reaction from that. You're probably expecting a reaction from that because we've moved quite decently on this 4-hour chart. But I like it. I like it now. If you can get a daily close like this, I mean, it's kind of your quasi-rising 3. If you get higher volume on this bar, that would be good as well. It makes sense with where the SPX is. It had a deeper retracement than I personally thought it would have, but it kind of looks pretty good for upward movement. And I think it could be, if you get some nice price action here. So say, for example, I don't know where you're in from, Elmi. I presume you're probably in from a little deeper. If you get some decent price action here, this would look pretty good for continuation to the upside. So yeah, I would certainly depend. Again, it depends on where your stop is. So if your stop is here, it makes a little bit of a difference. My pen's kind of acting up a little bit. So if your stop is here, then it makes a bit of a difference because it could do this, stop you out, and then continue. But if your stop's all the way down here, then yeah, I would certainly stay in it. So in which case, if you're in a tighter trade, you may have to look, or no, you don't may have to look, but look at price action, what it does now on this anchor break. Because if you get a break and close above, then that would look really good considering where we are. Again, simple chart patterns. That would look really good. But just watch where, watch price action basically where we are. Tabonga, late entry here, Aussie. Okay, I'll do Aussie dollar. All the way down. Okay, yeah. So I would hold it. I would certainly hold it, Elmi. It makes sense to take that to the upside. Tiffany, sorry, I live in Pacific time. Your streams I watch at 8 a.m. Eastern time for New York session. Finally awake. It's 1:34 a.m. Wow. Thanks for that, Tiffany. Hope I don't put you to sleep. I appreciate that. Okay, I'll do Aussie dollar and then I'm done. As I said, for me, I'm looking at EuroCAD longs today. And I'm looking at USD Hong Kong dollar longs today. Those are my main ones that I'm going to focus on today on a Monday. Aussie dollar. I mean, you've got... I don't like this price action. I don't like that price action, but I don't mind this hammer bar. I presume if we put a fib on it, it tagged that 50%, which dollar pairs do like that 50% fib zone. However, what I would be worried about if you're looking long on Aussie dollar is because of this price action is potentially that loss of momentum from buyers because a decent impulse here in the last few days. Why is my pen's got a mind of its own? Because of this decent impulse of potentially of that, but we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, the SPX does support Aussie strength, but the chart is not telling me that. The chart's telling me this is in. I mean, it looks to be a corrective, right? Corrective impulse corrective. We are on that 200. It's a difficult one to predict. Who asked me about Aussie dollar? Tabonga. It's a little bit difficult to predict the Aussie. It looks quite good on smaller time frames for potential intraday movement to the upside. The reversal there, but you've still got these 200s in the way. You've got this 200 in the way. You've got slight higher time confluence with that bar, but then you've also got bearish pressure here on the daily. And you've got what looks to be in that corrective on that 4 hour, but it's on that 200. So I'm not going to give a bias on Aussie dollar. I'll sit myself on the fence because I don't have one. It could go either way. You could see some intraday longs, but maybe that buying momentum might run out during the end of the week when we're expecting potential dollar strength to come back in. So, yeah, I'll sit myself firmly on the fence for that Tomonga. So, yeah. All right, guys, if there's not anything else, as always, I appreciate you tuning in. It's great to see so many people joining the stream. So hopefully you get some value here. I'll put all your Euro USD entries in, and yeah, if you're interested in more, links down below. If not, I'll see you on Wednesday. Trade safe. It is a Monday. Don't blow your account on a Monday, please. Keep your risk management in check, and you should be all right. All right, guys, trade safe. Peace.